If you already know who I am, it's more than likely because you've followed my activities in racing and on track. What's probably less known about me is that I've had a license for a motorcycle longer than for a car, and in the off season I enjoy being out and riding, commuting on a motorcycle. I thought we'd put a bit of video together and show you some of the scenery, landscape and terrain that we get to enjoy here in Australia. Welcome to the second annual Motorcycle Adventure Ride Out. Every motorcycle is an adventure bike, but there has in recent times become category riding that is described as adventure bike riding, and the bike is predominantly, say, 50-50 kind of dirt bike road capabilities. And because of the access to roads, the road network close to home, and the likelihood that you'll come across dirt roads when you head out west of Sydney, it seemed appropriate to have a bike, sporty enough to handle the tarmac, yet capable of being able to go onto dirt and not be sort of damaging the bike or hindering the quality of the experience. Since having a license, I've been predominantly sports bike focused, and that becomes a problem when you have a passenger. My wife Amy likes to join me on the rides, and I like her to come on the rides, but it's difficult to do long distances and multiple days on the bike because the passenger on a sports bike isn't very well catered for. The seat is not very comfortable, it's very small. The position the passenger is in is very high, and it's just quite awkward to ride and not comfortable, and it's not very confidence inspiring also. So with that in mind, when I got an adventure bike that has a very flat seat for the rider and passenger, it was very obvious that that was a better option because she was more comfortable to start with, and on the same seating position as I'm on, and that meant just general comfort was improved dramatically. My interest in motorcycles came a long time before competition, and I'm talking a long time ago, so at the age of maybe 3, 4, I had an obvious interest in motorcycles, and then by the time I was 5 I was already in competition, and I've been racing every year of my life since the age of 5. So racing and competition has sort of always been a focus, or has become a focus, and when you take it to a level like I have where it's a career, then everything's always, you're always being judged and always being timed and always being ridiculed for anything you do that isn't your best or the best that can be achieved. So when I have an opportunity to ride and just, there's no one watching, there's no one judging, there's no lap time being set, there's no stopwatches, it kind of relates back to why I got involved in motorcycles in the first place and where that sort of interest in motorcycles came from. So that's why I kind of always look for opportunities to ride that aren't in a competition environment, because I have that as a career. And then also, when we go riding we've got access to things that aren't accessible by car or by foot, and then you can invite and join with friends, and it's harnessing the enjoyment and the interests that I have in motorcycles without what I'm known for, which is the racing and the competition. So I feel like I'm getting the best of both worlds. There's a phrase in Australia, bush mechanics, and what that means is that you use whatever you have at your disposal to get you out of the trouble or to get the job done. So when you're out in the bush and you're far away from any help and you possibly don't even have phone reception, it's necessary to be fairly resourceful and just get yourself going again so you can get to the nearest town or finish the ride or get home. Jigging down like that. Obviously it's silver, but how do you know when you've found silver? It's a native goanna. Most of the riding that I do on the street is while I'm in Australia, because during the race season I'm in the UK and I don't have a lot of free time just to go off and explore and ride, and we're very focused on the competition side. So when I get home to Australia, I feel like I've got more opportunity to go and ride guilt-free and miss days of training and miss days of preparation because I'm in my off-season. But also I know Australia, like I know where I am. Like in England, I use sat-nav to go everywhere, because I don't know the roads. I wasn't born in England, although I've been there for years. I still don't really always know where I am, and I have to revert to sat-nav, and that helps me navigate my way around the country. And where in Australia I have this sort of more natural sense of knowing where I am and direction. And when you head off, I feel like I kind of know where I am and where I'm going. And also I get a great sense of belonging to Australia when I'm out and exploring the countryside and riding all the roads that are available. And then that is enhanced by the vast expanses that we have so easily accessible here. So I feel it's my duty to, as an Australian, is to go and see it and feel it and view it all, and then to have friends with you to experience it with is also, I think, what makes it enjoyable.
bit wide back there a bit, didn't you? There's a long left hand, a long right hander just went off camber, and the skid marks right out to the edge.
Hey, where'd you go, boys?
You know?
Yeah.
No, I saw the fruit coming.
When you're out on adventure bikes, you often come across rough terrain, and you can run into problems. More than likely, the first one that's going to arise is a flat tyre, and we had that arise 2 times on this ride. One was with a tubeless setup where we were able to plug the tyre and re-inflate it.
What are we running anyway in the front?
Tyre-wise?
Yeah.
It's a flat one.
And then the other was a tube arrangement where the tube was damaged, so we had to replace the tube and then pump it back up. It's difficult to carry all the tools you need, so the good thing about riding in a group is, one person can carry some, say, basic spanners or equipment, and then someone else can carry an inflation device or a pump, and someone else might carry a tube or some other equipment that might go wrong. So amongst everybody you can get yourself out of the problem.
How far do you reckon we had to ride with no tyre today?
Well, we had a tyre, just didn't have any air in it. Maybe, I don't know, 2 kilometres?
I think all motorcycle riders like to personalise their bikes or improve the bike to suit their purpose and needs. I think adventure riding has a huge variety of parts and options to change things. I think particularly starting with what you're planning to do, like I've made mistakes of going with far more knobby motocross dirt terrain tyres and then being happy to make that sacrifice for what you would lose on the tar. And then I've since realised that what you gain on the dirt is almost nothing, but what you lose on the tar is quite a big amount. So I've actually gone back to more road-based tyres, and then providing it's not actually muddy, they work every bit as good as the more dirt-orientated tread patterns. And then controls, moving your handlebars and levers and stuff, all just to suit your own personal comforts, and adding luggage and where you put it, and trying to minimise how much you carry and minimise the weight. And then suspension is probably the area that I play around with the most. I've come from a background in suspension when I was working before I was professional in racing, and I really enjoy tinkering in the shed anyway, but the time that you can spend improving your suspension is I find really valuable and rewarding. So I always have the suspension apart, changing spring rates and altering the oil level and shim stacks, and really just generally playing around and keep refining things. Where other people would probably go, oh, that's good enough, I'm happy with that, because they would need to take it to a tuner, where because I can do it myself, I'll kind of pull it apart 3 times just to try and find this like very fine improvement. But if I can get it, then it's really satisfying.